Calling all units, calling all units. Donut Shop has a fresh dozen. Go ahead and take a 1040.
I did some research on you, bro, and I realized, and you brought it, even if you didn't bring the jacket, I was going to mention that you worked with the state attorney's office at some point in your career.
Many years.
What did you do?
Well, I first started as a runner.
Yes.
And
what is that?
That's basically a
Like
transporter,
a newsboy,
dude.
like
I would just run around and slap me in the ass, and I'd just
before emails were
I
something
would.
that you would run.
Yeah, this was pigeons and then me. No, dude, it's just I transport deposition notes or if I need. It was basically a daily thing. So if courthouse center I needed some shit stamped over there. I would run over there, take it up, 25th floor, stamp it by certain times, come back to the courthouse, stamp it again, go back to my. I was in misdemeanor division, so I would all the traffic stuff. And then give it back to the secretaries. They'll file it. So I would do that on a daily basis, Monday through Friday.
So like the mail guy, but more athletic.
Pretty much like the mail guy with some stamina.
Did you get? That was your first step on the ladder?
That was the first thing.
Did you go to school?
Ever? Yeah.
For that?
No. No.
My question is, were you trying to be a lawyer?
Dude, so I had my daughter, right?
Yeah.
That was a bit of a, hey, we're having a kid.
Yes.
And at the time, I was working for the city of Hialeah. I was just doing kind of after school stuff. I was barely making a living, but it was like working with kids.
Me too.
You too? Yeah. Dude, are we, we got the same. Am I going to be a cop now?
Is this happening?
Are you going to be a comic and then I become a cop?
There it could be.
We're just going to.
It could happen.
Scissor in life.
It will. I don't know if you want to use that terminology.
I'll use it. Somehow again.
Yeah.
Stop using.
Yeah.
So, you're like, dude. So basically, I was doing the after school program stuff, living at home, with my mom, and young 20 years old, and.
Yeah.
And we me and my girl, we had a daughter, and it was one of those moments where you're like, all right, I kind of need to step up here a little bit, and so sure enough, she knew her aunt worked at the state, and she had told me there's a position, a very low level position, basically in the mail room, and they said this whole runner thing, and so whatever, so I auditioned. I interviewed, and I got the position. Yeah. It was a big Olympic.
Okay.
And so I got the position, dude. Nice. And then little by little, I started working my way up there until I got to the felony. I was in the moves. I was part of moves, just intake stuff. But basically, paralegal kind of, sort of.
So you got to look at cases and all that stuff.
Yeah, I got to look at cases.
Did it interest you at all? Maybe I can be a
after, and you could attest to this, dude. Yeah. After a while of just being there, you start kind of almost convincing yourself, like, maybe this is what I was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm supposed to I thought for a split second to get it into law enforcement. I had some lawyer friends that, were real cool people, but you talk to them, and after a while, you're like, not the brightest.
Yes.
But somehow,
they know the system.
They know the system. They pass the test. They're lawyers now. But you're like, maybe I could do law. I don't know. There's a moment there. But what started happening to me is, because of my videos, I had a lot of people at the state, like, I'll walk by them, they're like, what the fuck? How it works here? Like, but I was very serious at the state. It's not...
Yes.
It's very contradicting life.
What I was going to ask you before that is like, so you were at the state, you were doing videos. So what came first, videos or stand-up?
Music. Music came first, always.
Yeah.
I was always effortlessly kind of quirky.
Yes.
But with some common sense. Like, I wasn't the class clown.
Yeah.
I was the guy that made the teacher laugh.
Yes.
That's how I fucking passed.
Same here.
So, what was the question?
What came first?
Music. So then music, and then I said, right around the time my daughter was born, comedy always interested me. Stand-up always interested me, but it seemed like such a crazy... It was almost like not even obtainable.
Yeah. How? How the fuck
do you even do that?
Yeah.
Like, when you just tell jokes, someone sees you, and I didn't know about open mics. I didn't know, I knew about open mics, but in terms of, like, you have a shitty poem and you go up and people, oh, that's great. I knew that's at my
coffee.
Limited, slam poetry. But then I had a girlfriend in 8th grade tell me, look, there's this guy that kind of reminds me of you a little bit, and he's a stand-up comic. And to
Who was it?
up to that time, I had only seen like George Lopez, Que Loco.
Yeah.
I knew about Richard Pryor. My mom was a fan of like Red Fox and Richard
Yeah.
Pryor, and so I knew about comics. But there wasn't at the time. There wasn't anybody I could like relate to, and so she puts on this comedy blend. I think it was, and it was Dane Cook. And he had the fucking tank top with the
Yes.
spiky hair, and he was doing all his animated stuff. And I'm like,
That was
now people talk about Dane Cook, and it's a little bit of a different story. But you guys remember Dane Cook
those first
10,
years,
15 years ago.
Who did Cisco compare me to? Do you remember?
Didn't he say Dane Cook? Yeah, he
said
said
Dane
Dane Cook.
Cook.
Is that Dane Cook?
That was it, bro.
Dane Cook
Dane Cook,
was Dane Cook
Yeah.
10, 15 years ago was. I mean, he broke barriers. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? He was the first one to really hustle on social media.
Yes,
You know?
MySpace. He's-
MySpace.
There it is.
So
And then I
she's
just remember all the Comedy Central commercials where they actually did the cartoons of his
yes, the
skits
Hawaiian
or everything.
Punch or whatever
yeah.
that went.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, no.
Yes. Yeah, you broke my wall. What am I going to do with the wall now?
You got stuff in your big hole.
That was the
Your
first
big
time, and you
hole.
could relate. You know,
Yeah.
I was young. He was pretty young too.
Yeah.
And so you just related, and I hadn't until that point seen someone that I could relate that much to.
Hey, what's up, guys? If you like that clip, go over and check out the full episode at Donut Shop Podcasts. Link is down below in the description.